So now we're going to get into the dimensioning part of it. And so when we're looking at dimensioning a part, make this a little bit bigger. Pretty simple part here. We have a couple of different things we need to think about. One is, what dimensions do we want to put on this part? And then where do we want to place them? Right? So we know that I have this piece here. I could make all those dimensions. I could also put one. I could do all of that, right? It's too much. So there's three kind of overall dimensions here, right? There's the overall height, the height of this step, and the height of that step. I only need two of those three dimensions, right? Which two should I use? Which two of those three dimensions should I use?
The overall height.
I was gonna say the corners, the top corners.
It depends. What's important? Usually it's going to be the overall height. It's going to be one of them. But if this thing needs to go over something, that's like something else is going to fit into this space, and we need to make sure we have enough space to clear that thing, then I'll probably keep this dimension. If this needs to slide underneath something, and this dimension is more important, then I'd keep that one. So it always depends on what's important. And so that's why just like some random part in a book, and they like mention it, like, I don't know what's important, pick two. Sometimes I need this to fit into something and I need this to clear something else. I might do both of these and not include this one.
Yeah, because number two is just
so it's always what's important. And so for that, we can also, like, if I was going to say these two are what I really care about, and I might just, in here, I can double click on it and reference dimensions, talked about at the beginning of class, put the parentheses around it. That tells the inspector not to look at that. So it gives the machinist not have to do math to see how big it is. But the tolerances are going to be applied to these numbers and not this number. So this all has to do with the tolerancing. Because if all three numbers had tolerances, so say this could be plus or minus 0.1. This is plus, so this one could be 99 to 1.01, right? This one could be 99 to 1.01. Those two don't add up to 1.99 to 2.01, right? They add up to 0.98 to 2.02. And so we can only, if you put all three, the math doesn't work. You have to know which ones you're going to use the tolerances on. Okay? So the ones you care about, those are the ones you're going to control more precisely. The other thing just floats. Machinists don't like to hear that the drawings are not made for them. But they are made for the inspector. The person's going to check the parts to make sure that the machinist made it correctly. And the inspector gets this drawing, they know, okay, I'm going to check these two. And the inspector's not even going to look at this. But,
same thing with the second side too.
well, I'm
No, like
about that side right now.
I look at that box down over there too.
If I did this, then they know only look at this one and this one. It'd be the same as not having that dimension at all. But it makes the machinist know, okay, I need to cut down about an inch, but this is the dimension they need to check when they're checking on the machine.
yeah, that's true.
Then it's not important at all. It's like it not even being there. That's the thing that can change. So I wouldn't do this. I would just leave it off. The only time I do it, for instance, is like if I was leaving off the overall or something like that. Or on an assembly where the parts are already made, we're putting it together on a show. Like, this is how big it is when it's all put together. I'm not going to have to put it all together and then check the overall of the whole thing and reject it based on that. So now we're looking here. Now we have the option of, once we pick which dimensions we want, so let's say we want those dimensions. It's placement. Where do I put it? So like the 2-inch, either of these views is okay. On both views, you can see the entire height of the part. So, which one is better where to put it? I don't know. Depends on what else I have going on. But what about that 1-inch dimension? If you had just that, you only have this view. Does that 1 inch tell you anything? No.
Maybe if you.
Because this surface right here could be inclined, it could be curved. We have no idea what this 1-inch line is, right?
It could be that.
Yeah. But if I have just this view, now we know, oh, that 1 inch is a step, right? So when you're figuring out which view to put your dimensions on, put it on the view where you can see what it's doing. What is that dimension doing? That's where we want to see it. And then we also have like kind of where on the view. Do we put it here or do we put it all the way over here? So if I pick from that corner,
Put it on the other side.
so I can put it all the way over here, or I could put it here, right?
And the two on the other.
And so also I would see like little three dots, I can drag those around. So yeah, the two I could put here, or I could put it here. So kind of doesn't really matter. I probably would do it like that. I generally like to have my overalls on the outside or the side near the side that's got that whole thing. But it doesn't really matter. But
would you ever break it up so that the 2 is on the front view and the main view
like
is just, yeah, like that?
Yeah, sure. Because I'm going to have this dimension here also, right? So I can do that. Now I can see overall there. I can see the overall there. And then from here, again, same question. Do I dimension this one? Or do I dimension this one?
Pick one. It's critical.
Whichever one that I cared about. So I'm going to pick that one for now. Yep. So on things where I give you drawings and they have dimensions on them, put the same dimensions that I gave you on your drawing. So that's pretty easy for you to decide. Just use the ones that I gave you and then put them where it makes sense. If you're doing your own things, then you have to decide what's important. Okay?
So like what you show right there is what we put the base dimension at the bottom, and then that's one of the important top
ones. It could be there.
Ones.
It could be up here. It doesn't really matter. And we want to have our spacing kind of the same. So under dimensions, there's a little nice one called arrange dimensions. If I pick that first one, then I can pick the other ones and say, okay, and it's going to space them out evenly. I probably want this one to stay kind of here. And as you're creating dimensions, I'm going to grab the corners. Fusion has kind of some little steps it's going to lock it into. So either put like everything at the first step or put everything as the second step as your first dimension. And then you can line stuff up to that. And I'm not going to come and measure them exactly, but you know, if it's like this, I'm like, hey, make it a little neater, right? So when you're doing your dimension, your drawing, take a look at it after you're all done and like, does that look nice? Do things look even? Sometimes if it's too close, right? No, don't make it on top of it. Make it where it looks good. Okay. When you click on it, you grab that little dot in the middle and move stuff around. So grab that dot here, pull it down. I usually like my text between the extension lines. There's sometimes where it's going to want to put it on the outside. So pick that line, come up. See, it's on the outside. If I click it and drag it in, it's going to throw the arrows outside. I prefer that look better. Just personal preference. Both ways are correct. But for me, I prefer text inside. If the text doesn't fit, it in between the lines, then go ahead and stick it on the outside. Like if this view was there, like that doesn't fit. Now I'll stick the text on the outside. Okay. But usually if it's got space for the arrows inside like that, then there's means there's space for the text. My personal preference, do it however you guys, what you like. But make it look nice.
Make it where we can, where you can read.
For dimensioning holes, you can go here. I usually like to start by picking an edge first, and then I can pick the circle, and then come out and click it. I can also pick the edge, then I can pick the center line. You can see if I pick the circle, the line goes all the way there, kind of overlaps the center line. If I pick the center line, then it gives me my space there. Again, grab the text, drag it inside. Either way is okay. If I pick the circle, it's going to come out. And notice that as I move this around, that leader, where does it point? At the center. So I can put this here. But I have 2 holes. And so I can double click on it and just move my, just using the arrow, I can kind of move the cursor. And I type 2x.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering too,
So I
for
can do
like
that.
the 2 dimensions of 1 inch.
If you pick a circle, it's automatically going to give you a diameter symbol. If you want the radius, just like in a sketch, right click, call it radius. But if it's a circle, it's a hole, we want diameter usually. We also have this command here, hold and thread notes, where if I pick that, it's going to move it. But now look at the arrow. It doesn't stay lined up. But when I do that, it automatically gives it the 2x. And if it's a hole that doesn't go, or that goes through the part, over here, I pick that hole. Gives me all the counterbore information and all that. And that if the hole didn't go all the way through, then it'll give me the depth of the hole. But it doesn't point to the center. So you're kind of in a catch. Do you use the diameter dimension and then add the 2x? Or do you use the hole note where it gives you everything and then you have to align it? So if you do that, and click on it, grab that endpoint, and if you kind of move it around a little bit, it gives you like this little guiding line showing you where it's pointing. And then you can just drag it so it points at the center. And it depends on what you have to change here. Also, the word through isn't needed. That's on, like, it's okay if it's not clear that the hole goes all the way through. But if you have a view that shows that hole going all the way through, whether it's hidden lines or section view, you don't need it. And so if you just double click on the text and just click on the word through and hit delete, and then hit close, it goes away. I don't like that word on there because it's clear. If your part is confusing and you can't tell that it goes all the way through, then you should probably make another view or do something, or that's when you might include if you got a ton of holes and things. But if you don't have a depth on the hole, it goes through. You don't need the word through. That's what the standard says. Even though the software is like, no, we're gonna say through. I don't know how to tell Solver, I don't know how to tell Fusion not to put it in anymore.
Is that in the book? Like, is there a standard for that?
Yes.
Or,
What standard is that? Yeah, Y14.5. So if you go into the class documents and look at Y14.5, right here,
Oh,
It's-
14.5.
it's in here. Where it says that. There's got a whole thing on.
You.
where did you get the wife?
I'll have to find it. It's in here somewhere. We'll look it up later. But it's in here. I'll put the pic. Don't look at it now. Pay attention. So that's just one thing to watch out for that. That same command though will also, if I pick an edge that has threads on it, it'll give me the thread node. Or if I pick on the circle where the threads are, it'll give me the thread node.
That is helpful.
And so I can also use that to do nodes. So kind of the one right next to it is nodes. So I can click on that, pick on this edge, come down, click where I want it to go, and that's a 0.06 by 45 degree chamfer. And so if I go right here to symbols, I get a whole list of symbols. So I can just go in and click on the symbol I want. You can see it sticks it in there. Then I can just hit close. So that's all I need. And I should probably say 4x. But my x's should be capital. All the text on a drawing is capital. Yep.
This champ.
Yep. So this note covers these corners here. The corners that are shown at 90, that's what that note covers. Because that's just gonna be a little tiny, like 0.001 or 001 or something. You know, very just slight, just to take it off. But if we want a certain size, we need to call it out. And I could call out it, instead of doing it here, I could just say, I just write it in the notes there. I could spell.
Don't
Out of
worry about
those
it.
two methods.
You're on the drawing, I'm gonna have you do it that way.
Okay.
Just to practice using the note.
The font isn't either like
The default font is what it should be.
oh, okay.
And so one of the kind of the things to watch out for is here, when I add the dimension on the auxiliary view, if I click the line and then that point, look at what happens.
Oh,
It went to the
yeah.
endpoint of the line. Auxiliary views sometimes do weird stuff. But if you dimension, you pick that center line first and then the edge, now it comes out correctly. And I can even pick on it and drag this to this piece and it stays lined up correctly. Okay? But if I try and do the edge, the hole, or the edge to the center mark, it's going to do this weird stuff. I don't know why. It's not even at the right angle normally. So on this one, start with the center mark and then go out.
In all fairness, that hole is not perpendicular to the part. It's at an
It is.
angle
It is, and let's view it as perpendicular to the part.
base.
Yep. Faces the part. And then I go from the top edge there, put that in dimension. And again, since it's just one hole, I'm not going to worry about the hole note, and it goes through. I'm just going to use a regular dimension. Call it out. Okay. Remember, we need to make views where we can see things as round, holes as round, because that's where we're going to dimension how big it is. Yep.
The dimension.
Because
Okay.
I don't know. But I've tried this like 15 times,
It's the same.
and it's always doing the same thing on it.
Okay.
And that's why I just thought I needed to talk about it right now.
By
It's
done
one of
15
those little
times,
quirks.
We don't need that.
Just, yeah.
Just neat.
If it's not working the way you're doing it, try it a different way.
Welcome to college.
Wow.
Yeah. If picking the two things you pick don't work, try picking try picking those same things in the opposite order, and it might work. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But once it does the same behavior 3 times in a row, then you know you just have to do it that way. See what else?
Okay.
Yeah, so there's some options here for flipping the arrows like that. If you want specific types of dimensions, you can do here. This baseline and chain dimensioning, if you want to put in multiple things at a time like that. So if I go in, I do baseline dimensioning, I pick, I forgot, I have to have one in there first. Do baseline, and I can just pick on this one, and now it's automatically going to make once the stack on top of it evenly spaced. So I don't
So
do
we
it one
have
at a
to
time,
do-
but I can always just move them around if I need to.
Excuse me?
If you do the continue, the chain, you pick it, it's just going to keep going from there. And whichever side you pick, that's the side that it's going to go off of. Like if I do baseline and I pick this side, I'm going to do that. So they're there. I never use those options because I just arrange them myself. Or I'll use the stack one here. Here's this one is for auto dimensioning. And just to show you, and you can try the auto dimensioning later on, see how it does. Oops, not that one. Gonna give you some options of how you want it, and you can tell where you want dimensions to be. But you can see these are all, it's kind of doing it from different sides, ordinate dimensioning there. And because it's trying to kind of figure out how to do it, but it doesn't know exactly which dimensions you want. And it's not even doing it off the sketch, because I think I sketched the cutout over here, not there. Not sure. Let me see. That one. Oh, I did use that one. So I did the 2.5 and the 1. So it is using the 2 dimensions that I had used in my sketch, so that's good at least. So I can do that and just move them around if I wanted to. You know, just to get them on the screen. But the placement isn't always the best doing the auto dimension. And so you can do it and then move stuff around. Just kind of play with it. Sometimes it's really bad. Sometimes it'll actually put the one over here and stuff. I don't know. If you hit this tidy up button, it's going to rescale everything. And so it doesn't just, I thought it was just going to tidy up the dimensions, but it doesn't. It tidies up everything. And so this time it made it really big where it doesn't even fit on the paper. And now the same, I just hit it again and now it's really small and the dimensions aren't close to it. So I don't know what it's doing. So probably wouldn't use that button there. Okay. We'll get to all these symbols and stuff later on. So any questions on the dimensioning part of it?
Yeah, I have
Yep.
some.
Uh-huh.
Okay, with some of them, you were showing the how do you like clear the through all like you did with the hex?
The
Or is
what?
that-
Oh,
is my
remove the text?
microphone not that well done? That.
Yeah,
with
so
the
just double click on the text. And then if it has the through on there, just double click on it and then just click on the word through. And as you can see, when I clicked, it highlights the whole text.
Okay, so just
And then I can
delete
just
it?
hit delete.
Okay.
And then you can also use your arrows to move the cursor around inside of this. You can see kind of the cursor moving as I use my arrow buttons
Okay.
to get to where you want. So like if I wanted on here, I'm going to go in and just do the 2x myself, click on the hole, come out, then hit escape to kind of get out of the dimension command. I can double click on it. And right now the cursor is at the right side of the text. You can see the cursor's blinking right there. So instead of trying to click with my mouse over here to the left side, oh, actually that time it worked. Sometimes it doesn't. I just hit the left arrow a couple times. And that way it gets it over to the left side. And now I can type it in. And so
Okay.
it's the number of times that feature is there, X, and then a space. It's
Okay.
not 2 space X space. It's 2X space.
Okay.
And then just click somewhere else and it goes out. So it's 2 times that hole.
2 times.
So
I
there's
was just
two
double
of these
checking because I was
holes.
taking notes.
The bracket.
The parentheses?
Parentheses would be reference dimensions, but that's brackets.
Oh. So on here, if we have it drawn with an underline, so like do this. So here's my overall dimension. It has this break in the line. I can grab the break, drag it over here. So this is correct because it's got the broken view. Some people also like to do the underline to tell me that that's not actually 15 inches on the paper.
Oh.
So the underline was used a lot when we did stuff by hand because we'd have the whole drawing and we needed to adjust a dimension. So instead of erasing it and drawing a new line and stuff, we would just erase the number, change the number, and underline it. So it wasn't to scale with the rest of the drawing. So the underline is not used as much anymore because we just draw it the right. We just change the file and then reprint it. The square around it means that it's basic. And so that means it's a perfect number, no tolerance. But then with that, you have to use these other things. So remember I talked about NY 14.5, the first like 20 pages is that 2-hour video that I just posted. All the rest of the 420 pages is that stuff. So that's where the real meat is of it, of using these to control how the tolerances are for more stuff.
There's your reading for you.
And so we'll talk more about that later. We'll touch on it a little bit later in this class, but in CAD 20 we'll talk about it a lot more. So the next semester. Any other questions? Yep. Oh, what brackets?
Like if you double click on the
Yeah.
Oh, these brackets.
Yeah, what are those
Sorry.
brackets?
So those brackets means use what you measured. So if I just delete and I type in a new number or new text, it replaces the measurement.
Oh.
If I put the less than greater than symbol, it repopulates with the measured value. Sorry, I didn't get the question. And that AutoCAD does the same thing. In AutoCAD, if you want to use the measured value on a dimension, you put in less than greater than, and it uses the measured value. If you erase that text, now it's going to put whatever I want. So, like, let's say I do change this, and I'm told that no, that's going to be 0.5. But now it's not to scale. I'm going to underline it, even though it's drawn 0.75 on the paper. Yep.
But when you use the whole red command,
It did?
No, that's do a whole.
Oh, and the whole note?
Yeah.
No, because now it's just populating the values directly. Because it's, you can see here that if I click on here, it's using the general note from D10 of that dimension there. If I go to this one, it's using the actual properties of those dimension values. And so it's using the properties, not the measurement. So yeah, so that's another thing. In the text, I can always add in either parameters or general notes or anything like that. So if I type in something like that and I hit the add button, it's going to add in description or let's say the part number. I can put that in places. I can put in like, I go down here, say, I can change that to be physical property mass and have it automatically populate mass on the drawing. I know how much that thing weighs. So I can use the properties inside of my notes and things. Any other questions?